He lived on the streets for 20 years. He did not know his father owned half the city. This is the story of Marcus, a homeless man who discovered the most shocking truth of his life. What happened when father and son finally met? Marcus was 35 years old. He lived under a bridge in downtown Chicago every morning. He woke up on a piece of cardboard. His clothes were old and dirty. His hair was long and messy. Marcus had been homeless for 20 years. He did not remember much about his childhood. When he was 15, something terrible happened. There was a big fire at his house. He got separated from his family and never found them again. Every day, Marcus walked around the city. He asked people for money. "Excuse me, sir, can you help me? I need food," he said politely. Some people gave him coins. Others just walked away. Marcus was different from other homeless people. He was very smart and could read well. He spoke clearly, and people noticed this about him. "You seem educated," said a kind woman one day. Marcus smiled sadly. "Life happened to me, ma'am, but I never give up hope." Across the city, in a huge mansion, lived Richard Thompson. He was one of the richest men in Chicago. He owned hotels, restaurants, and shopping centers. His company was worth billions of dollars. But Richard was not happy. Richard was lonely and sad 20 years ago. He lost his son in a house fire. The boy was only 15 years old. Richard searched everywhere for him. He hired private detectives and offered a $1 million reward, but never found his son. "Sir, maybe it's time to stop looking," said his assistant, Jennifer. "It's been 20 years. Richard shook his head firmly. "No, Jennifer, I will never stop. Marcus is my only son. He's still alive somewhere. I can feel it." Every week, Richard drove around the city in his expensive car. He looked at homeless shelters and visited hospitals. He checked police stations, searching for his son. Richard kept his son's room exactly the same. The bed was still made, and photos of Marcus were everywhere. One cold morning, Richard was driving to his office. There was heavy traffic, and his car stopped at a red light. He looked out the window and saw a homeless man. The man was sitting on the sidewalk, reading a book. This surprised Richard because not many homeless people read books. Richard looked closer at the man's face. There was something familiar about him. His heart started beating fast. "Stop the car," Richard told his driver. "I want to talk to that man." Richard got out of his car. He walked to the homeless man on the sidewalk. "Excuse me," he said with a nervous voice. "What's your name?" The homeless man looked up from his book. "My name is Marcus, sir, Marcus Thompson." Richard almost fell down when he heard the name. Thompson was his last name. The man's eyes looked exactly like his son's eyes. Richard's hands started shaking. Where are you from?" Richard asked with a shaking voice. "I don't remember much, sir," Marcus said sadly. "I was in a house fire 20 years ago. I lost my family, and I've been alone ever since." Richard's eyes filled with tears. "Do you remember your father's name?" Richard whispered. Marcus thought for a moment. I think it was Richard, but I'm not sure. My memory is not very good." Richard could not believe what he was hearing. "Marcus," Richard said softly, I am Richard Thompson. I am your father. Marcus looked confused and shocked. That's not possible, sir. My father died in the fire.
No, son, I survived, Richard explained. I've been looking for you for 20 years. Richard showed Marcus an old photo from his wallet. It was a picture of Richard and young Marcus together. Marcus stared at the photo, and memories started coming back.
Marcus stared at the photo for a long time. Suddenly, memories came flooding back to him. He remembered his father's face. He remembered their house and playing in the garden. He remembered the day of the fire. "Dad," Marcus whispered with tears in his eyes. "Is it really you?" "Yes, son, it's me," Richard said. Richard hugged Marcus tightly on the busy street. Both men cried, and people stopped to watch this emotional reunion. "I'm sorry I look like this, Dad," Marcus said. "I'm dirty and homeless." "I don't care about that," Richard replied. "You are my son. That's all that matters." Richard took Marcus home immediately. He gave him new clothes and a warm bed. He gave him the best food and medical care. Marcus had a hard time adjusting to his new life. "This is too much, Dad," Marcus said. "I don't belong here."
You belong here more than anyone, Richard said. This is your home. This is your family. Richard introduced Marcus to his business. Marcus was very smart and learned quickly. He had good ideas for helping people.
"You lived on the streets for 20 years," Richard explained. "You understand real people and their problems. This will help our business, help more people." Together, they opened free shelters for homeless people. They created job training programs and helped many people. Marcus never forgot his time on the streets. He visited homeless shelters every week. He talked to people and gave them hope. "I was where you are," he told them. "Life can change. Never give up." Marcus eventually took over the family business. He became one of the most generous businessmen in Chicago. He used his wealth to help poor people. The man who once lived under a bridge now owned half the city. But he never forgot where he came from. Richard and Marcus became very close. They worked together every day. They had dinner together every night. "I'm sorry I couldn't find you sooner," Richard said one evening. "Don't be sorry, Dad," Marcus replied. "Those 20 years taught me important lessons. They made me stronger and helped me understand people better." Marcus learned that family is the most important thing in life. He learned that love never dies, and sometimes the greatest treasures are found in the most unexpected places.
What did you learn from Marcus and Richard's story? Family is the most important treasure. Never give up hope. Love never dies. Help others when you succeed. Tell me in the comments, what's the most important thing in your life? If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share. See you in the next video.